What's up everybody, welcome back to another drawing tutorial. Today we're going to be drawing Archer from the Fate Stay Night series. From Fate, anyway. I think this one is from Fate Stay Night. So we are going to do a portrait of him. I'm on landscape orientation paper, use a pencil and eraser and hit pause if I go too fast. We're going to start with his eyes. Center point of my page is about here. I'd say that's where his nose will be. We'll just come up over to the right hand side. And we start with that right eye. So he's very narrow, sort of slender eyes, right? So we go diagonal first, and then we bring this straight line across, very narrow now, horizontal. And then we bring it diagonal, down a little bit, and then we just hook it back in, right? Now, this line usually is thicker than your other lines in the drawing. So what that means is, because it's his eyes, you want to draw attention to the eyes, so you add thicker line weight, slightly thicker than the rest of the image, okay? So he doesn't really have a bottom eyelid line. He maybe has like a bit just underneath his iris, right? So it just like maybe comes across here, and then the iris will come out from that, right? Like so. Right, so that's all we have really for the bottom eyelid, right? And then his pupils, I can't really see in the picture, so I just have to lighten it up. Where are they? They seem to be kind of like thin sort of ovals, right? So curve around just in the middle here. And they're dark blue, they're not black, but I'll color it black just for the purposes of demonstration, right? We can change it to blue if we need to. Right, like that. So the other eye, we're in proportion, right? So what that means basically is the distance between, well, roughly, you can fit a whole eye in between here, right? Even more, or slightly, it's even longer. So this whole eye will fit in between here, and that's where the next eye will start, right? You want to make sure this eye fits inside, and it definitely does, right? It's even a little bit longer. So then we'll bring this eye across this eyelid line, and then you bring it down the corner and then back to here. And then you thicken this up. Might be some extra lines sort of here. And then his iris will have the bottom line, right? So like here, like so. And then his pupil, long, sort of oval, sort of like so. So right, so then he's frowning quite heavily, so, and his eyebrows sort of start in the middle of his face, sort of here, right? And then they're quite bumpy and wrinkly, so we go up around like so. He's frowning real heavy. So up like this. And then they kind of trail off out here, and they've got these kind of zigzag patterns to them on the end, right? And then this is the portion we color in. So we'll add sort of a bit of area here that we can add some grey hair to, and then an eyelid line just there. And then this other eyebrow, same sort of thing, comes around, crinkles up this way and off like that, and then it kind of zigzags down this way. And then we add an area we can add some grey hair to that we can color later on, like that. And then his eyelid line comes across here down to there. I'm just going to raise up this eye a bit here, make it a bit thicker on top. Trying to fix things on the fly. A bit better, yeah. I think so. Maybe it was just a bit too narrow. Yeah. Then his iris is just there. Right, okay, so move on. So then his nose comes right down the center, sort of here, maybe a little bit to the left. We've got a line that comes down here. In Fate, this is sort of how they do the noses. It comes down like so, and then it kind of hooks back this way. Then we have a bit of a shadow in here. Tiny little shadow. It's going that way. There's nostril. Like that. It's in his mouth. Comes across, down the side, like so, and then similar over here. And then a line for his bottom lip, just there. And then his chin, square chin here. Right, so in terms of proportion from, say, his top eyelid or his eyebrow to, well, I'd say his top eyelid to his nostril is about the same as nostril to chin. So like his eye to his nose will roughly bring you nose to chin, right? You want the nose to be about halfway between his eye and his chin. It's approximate, right? But it's like maybe that, yeah, the middle of his eye to his nostril is the same as nostril to chin, and then from the nostril to his bottom lip line, that'll bring you to the bottom lip line to the chin. So your bottom lip line halfway between nostril and chin, right? They're roughly the same distances. You've got a bit of room with that. It's not exact. So then his jaw diagonally this way, right? You're stopping roughly like underneath the edge of his eye. See that? And we're in this one, we're just across from his bottom of his nose, right? And then we'll go diagonal this way. Right, and then again, we're roughly underneath edges of his eye in line with the nose, right? Because here's where you change direction and go up the side of his face. So this line, if we kept going, we'd go off that way. But we want to turn a corner and go up the side of his face, right? So you go diagonal up to there, and then diagonal up to here. Like so. So then he has hairline, comes across the center here, and his ears that come out from here. So we've got a sort of a sideburn, sort of spike here. And this will come around for his ear. Like so. And his other ear goes around again. Like that. And then in there we've got bones and ligaments. So you just go around, and I always say the easiest way is like this sort of letter J shape inside the ear. Lots of different ways of doing this now. And the same thing on the other side. Curve up. And bring it down around to there. And another sort of line there. So his hairline, right? So the side of his head, we have all these zigzagging lines that come up the side for his hair there. And we did the same thing on the other side. It comes across, up, around. Doesn't have to be the exact same, obviously, because hair's different, moves around and stuff. And then we bring this across towards the center, right? Always adding these sort of spiking lines. And in the middle, you'll have, like above his nose, you'll have this sort of larger sort of spike in the center. And then we go back the other way. Like so. So then he has all this silver hair that goes around. Sort of the growth goes towards the right, okay? And it comes out from his left, this left ear. So we start with a spike here, right? And then we add another one above. And then we're going to start to travel around, okay, towards the other side of his head. So say like there, like that. So then our next one, here, another one. Here might go off the top of my page there a little bit. You just come back in. Then another one. Back into there. Next one, down. So we go down now behind the other ear. And they get smaller progressively as we go down behind his head. Down to there. And then you may have some texture lines on his hair. Just going, following the direction of growth. Like that. Right, and then jaw here. Sorry, neck coming from the jaw. And we have a bit more hair in behind his neck and his jaw. Like so. So he's got this metal collar coming across underneath his chin. Just like a rectangle. Curving sort of edges to it. There. And then a dark grey section that goes around the back of his neck. It comes down around like that. Same thing on this side. Like so. And this will go in behind another red jacket, right? So we've got another curved line around here. Another one here. And this comes around like so. Down there. And then it goes behind his neck again. Same on this side. Right, so then this red jacket comes out this way, and then we'll go off my page diagonally across his chest, like that. So his shoulders, quite wide shoulders, right? So they kind of, we have a bump here for clothing. Same sort of thing there. And then we go out like so. When we hit the corner of his shoulder, he's got this seam. So we have a bump. And then this curves around here. So his shoulders are quite wide, but as a general rule, say like the face will get you to sort of the seam here, and then we have the curve for his shoulder. So his shoulders are actually wider than his head. So a little bit out of proportion. So like here to here will bring you to this seam section. which goes down that way, and then his shoulder comes off here. So wider shoulders on this character than normal. Right, so then we go out and down. We do the same thing. So width of his head, we'll bring it to that same seam on the corner of his shoulders, and then the shoulder curves out there. Right, like so. So then he has these buttons or tassels that sort of are tied on here, right? So start with this sort of U shape here, like that, and the bottom of the tassel hangs down from there. Some texture and stuff on the bottom, right? And then there's these elaborate sort of ties, kind of complicated. So say on this side, right? Comes across here. And these are actually white, right? But I'll just do them in black because we can't. Sharpie won't allow me to do 2 lines. So they're normally white, colored in white. But there's like this X thread. Like that. Something similar on this side. And then they're tied. So we go up, down into there. And then another round. Down like so. And then another. So if you want to add an extra line on the inside, if you're using a pencil or like a fine liner, you know, you could color them in white, but like another gap inside here. Mine will just end up bleeding together, so there's no point in me doing it. That's your general shape of them on that side, and then here as well. We go around, and then here. Like so. Then another one. Up under here. Roughly like that, right? And then we got like 4 lines on his red jacket, like here for his armpit and stuff, on his shoulder, where his chest sort of meets his shoulder, sort of the fabric will be pulled that way. And then there is white thread, another, I'll do it black, but you could do a double line if you wanted. Coming across like so, and then he's got this pattern, this Y sort of shape that comes down the middle of his chest. So it just comes down here. So it kind of reminds me of a letter Y anyway, like so. And then the center comes around here, and then comes across like so. Right, but I think that's everything, guys. That's how to draw Archer from the Fate series. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.